So, practical difficulties in application of ELP. There are, however, certain practical difficulties in applying the ELP, which are described hereunder. True comparison difficult in certain cases. The commercial and financial conditions governing a transaction between independent enterprises are by and large never similar to those existing between associated enterprises. As a result, there cannot be a true comparison. The economies of scale and integration of various business activities of the associated enterprise may not be truly appreciated by arm's length principle. Further, associated enterprise may enter into transactions which independent enterprises may not enter into, like say licensing of valuable intangible or sharing the benefits of research. The owner of an intangible may be hesitant to enter into licensing arrangements with independent enterprises for fear of the value of the intangible being degraded. In contrast, he may be prepared to offer those that are less restrictive to associated enterprise because the use of the intangible can be closely monitored. Further, there is no risk to the overall group's profit from a transaction of this kind between members of an MNC group. In such situations where independent enterprises seldom undertake transactions of the type entered into by associated enterprises, the ALP is difficult to apply because there is little or no direct evidence of what conditions would have been established by independent enterprises. Now comes availability of data and reliability of available data. There may be difficulty in getting adequate and reliable information and data in order to apply arm's length principle. The comparison of controlled and uncontrolled transactions between associated and independent enterprises usually requires a large quantum of data. Easily accessible information may be incomplete and difficult to interpret, while the relevant and required information may be difficult to obtain due to geographical constraints or secrecy and confidentiality aspects. In other cases, information about an independent enterprise which could be relevant may not exist at all. Due to these difficulties, the tax administration and taxpayers may have to exercise reasons and judgment when applying the ALP. Then comes absence of market price. There must be a reasonably reliable and comparable uncontrolled market price. The ALP does not meet this condition because of the nature of the marketplace. A market price is an outcome of unique negotiations. It may be possible to know the price range, but it is difficult to know the actual market price unless a market transaction actually takes place. Then comes absence of comparable market price for intangible transactions. The ALP reaches a comparable uncontrolled market price that is reasonably reliable for standard transactions where the price range is narrow and market price is certain. However, However, the ALP generally fails to achieve a comparable market price for transactions involving intangible because they are unique. The unique nature of these transactions creates a very wide price range. Then comes administrative burden. In certain cases, the arm's length principle may result in an administrative burden for both the taxpayers and the tax administrators of evaluating significant numbers and types of cross border transactions. Then comes time lag. Although an associated enterprise normally establishes the conditions for a transaction at the time it is undertaken, at some point the enterprise may be required to demonstrate that these are consistent with the arm's length principle. The tax administration may also have to engage in the verification process, perhaps some years after the transaction have taken place. It may result in substantial cost being incurred by the taxpayer and the tax administration. It is also difficult to appreciate the business realities which prevailed at the time when transactions were entered into. This may lead to bias against the taxpayer. In spite of the practical difficulties listed above, OECD member countries are of the view that the ALP does provide a sound basis to appreciate the transfer pricing between associated enterprises. It has so far provided acceptable solutions to both taxpayers and the tax administrations. The experience gained so far should be effectively used to remove the practical difficulties and improve the administration.